Okay. Thank you for confirming. Am I audible and visible, loud and clear? Uh, I do have a lot of content to cover. Let's see how much we are able to finish today. And otherwise, we'll have a follow-up session sometimes later. So here is the GitHub link. Okay, so two things. One is you need to have a working AWS account if you want to do the hands-on. And second, it will cost you. So with this disclaimer, once again, I reiterate, repeat. Okay. So AWS comes with host of free tier tools. Okay, but unfortunately, most of the cognitive services and generative AI services are not yet free. Okay, so some of these services which I'm going to discuss, although the charges are very minimal, so all the hands-on notebooks that I'm going to share with you, the total charge will be less than $1. Okay, it's only that I mean the SageMaker part is a bit tricky. If you forget to shut down your machine, then that will keep on acquiring the costs. Otherwise, all these services are API based. So there's not much cleanup needed in that. So these are the two main places where we'll be charged actually. One is the SageMaker, where we'll be actually spinning up a machine and then we'll be running all the notebooks there. And then at the end of the session, don't forget to shut down that entire SageMaker instance in the machine. Okay. And there are other cognitive services which are API call based. So, and even the Bedrock. So there are foundation models within the Bedrock, multimodal models, vision models are there. So all the models are available on Bedrock and we'll be making API calls. And to some extent, these API calls are included in the free tier limits. But since we are just going to use very small amount, so the charges overall will be very small. That I can assure you. So the API calls that we are going to make, they are not going to be very costly. Only thing is you need to make sure that you will shut down the SageMaker instances. Okay. So yes, with that disclaimer that you need to have a working AWS account. Working AWS account means you need to already have that billing set up. Okay. So credit cards and whatever. Okay. So I'll not get into the details of how do you set up a AWS account as such. I'll assume that you do have a working AWS account to start with. Fine. So that's the bare minimum expectation. And from there, let's take it ahead. Okay. So everyone is already aware of the agenda. We are going to cover some of the generative AI services which are native to AWS. When I say native to, AWS has built its own models. So we'll be using some of those models for speech, text to speech, speech to text, image generation, and then text to image, image fusion, image captioning, a lot of these. Okay. Some NLP based tasks, text summarization, question answering. So everything what you normally do using OpenAI. Okay. So all those things can be done with closed source models, more regulated models, more federated manner with your data set, with your company account. Let's say if you are able to get that. Okay, in AWS. That's the value proposition. So we'll see what is the benefit of using AWS services for GenAI. Why not directly use OpenAI API keys, or why not directly use Gemini or Grok models, or the models which are deployed on Grok Cloud. Anyway, they are freely available for API calls as of now within daily usage limits. And now this Grok 3 has come from XAI, although it's not accessible to everyone in India, except for the premium customers in US. But maybe sooner or later it will be available. Okay. So what would be the biggest benefit? So those things we'll discuss during the session. Okay. So let's get started.
Just a quick note, Analytics Vidhya has 100 plus free courses from beginner to advanced on topics like machine learning, generative AI, agents, etc. complete with certification. Click the I button to explore now.
Okay, so basically, if you let me open, so I don't want to use the slides. Frankly, you can use it for your reference. I just want to take everything hands-on as it comes. Okay, that way, you can actually follow along and do it properly. So I'm actually going to, pull down my slideshow and directly go ahead with the hands-on part. Okay. So let me pull up the browser. Let me log in. Okay, I have logged in. So first things first, this is how it will come up. Okay. So I have already mentioned a few times you need to have a working AWS account, which means you would have already logged in. So I want to take a quick poll. How many of you have a working AWS account? So you will be the immediate beneficiaries of this session. Others, you will have to set up the AWS account. Free tier will have some usage limits, no doubt. But some of these services which I'll mention are not at all even available in the free tiers at all, at all. So although that was not explicitly mentioned in the session agenda that we need to have a working AWS account, but let me tell you this frankly, okay? And most of the GenAI services work very well if you take the US East 1 and East 2, the North Virginia and the Ohio regions. Okay, these two regions are the best because most of the models are deployed there. Availability of the models is very large. Okay, so I'll prefer to take one of these models. Sorry, regions. Okay, so let me switch the region here to North Virginia here. So first thing is switch your region to US East 1. You will need to make sure that, I mean, that's not mandatory. You can still work with US West 2, which is already there in some of my codes. You will find that I have used US West 2 in my codes, but my experience says that US East 1 is probably by far the most reliable region, at least for experimentation. Okay. So that's one. Okay. Second thing is, again, so AWS ecosystem, if I go back to, this, so there are three main things. One is SageMaker, one is Bedrock, okay, and there would be, yeah. So, okay, I don't need to, repeat all that stuff. This is known to everyone. What is GenAI? What are the possible use cases and so on. Okay, just trying to get up the initial context. All the different domains where AI or generative AI is being used, fine, across multiple domains, sectors, industries, different use cases, chatbots, summarization, image generation, classification, code generation, music, and so on, fine. And okay, so here we'll first go to SageMaker. It's very clearly written, and you will see most of the popular foundation model providers are already listed there. Okay, it's like a AWS marketplace. So most of the vendors who host these models, okay, or who have created these models are already there on the SageMaker part. So we'll create the SageMaker domain, assuming that we have access to that. And then some of these foundation models are already there from Stability AI, Alexa. This is Hugging Face models are there, Cohere models are there. Some for text generation, some for text generation, question answering, summarization, and even for embedding models are also present. AI 21 labs and so on. You can see. So I'm just running through because not much is there in to do in this. It's more for reference, you can say. Yeah. So one thing that I will not be doing is training a end-to-end model within SageMaker. Okay. So that I plan to do sometimes later. although we'll be using SageMaker notebooks. Okay. But that's purely optional. If you want to use it, well and good. If you don't want to, that's still fine. Okay. So we'll be using SageMaker notebooks. We'll set up a domain. First thing first, we'll set up a SageMaker domain and we'll launch the SageMaker notebook. And within that SageMaker uh, Jupyter Lab environment, we'll import all the notebooks from that GitHub. And from there, we'll start doing the hands-on part, right? So that's the basic plan. Okay. So 3 steps. Okay. So let's directly navigate to SageMaker. And even before that, let's have a quick look into some of the models which are available to us. So I'll first go to Bedrock. Let's go to Bedrock. So Bedrock is one service. It's like a Hugging Face of AWS. If you know what is Hugging Face, okay. So that's like the marketplace of hosting all the foundation models, fine-tuned models from most of the popular vendors, which are available on AWS. When I say available on AWS, they have been deployed on AWS machines, servers, and is available for consumers of AWS. I mean, you can say that way directly. Okay, so how do we consume these models via Python code? I have a hands-on on that. We'll see that. So first, let's go ahead and see Bedrock. That is the easiest way to build and scale. So although we'll not be building anything, but let's have a look what all models are present on Bedrock. So Bedrock is your marketplace for all the AI models out there. Okay, that's one line summary you can see. Fine. So if you just see, you have the chat, text, image, video. On the left side, you have different types of foundation models. You have the playgrounds as well. Okay, but before we do any of these, the first thing that we have to make sure is the availability of these models in your account. Okay, the availability of these models in the account. Okay. Someone is asking, Pawan, is this available on Git? Yes. So just refresh the Git. It's already there. Okay. So even this PDF is there. Okay. So yeah, coming back. So first and foremost, go to the model part, the Bedrock configurations, go to the model access. This bottom left. Okay. Model access. Okay. So once you go to the model access, the bottom left, you can see the Bedrock configurations, model access. And then you can see some model access you might have, which are Titan models. Now, Titan models are the models which has been created by AWS, Amazon directly. Okay. So you might have access to some of these Titan models. Okay. But for other models, you need to request access. Okay. So we'll do that right now. And it will ask you to fill up some sort of a form. And within 5 to 10 minutes, many of these models which are free will be available for use. When I say free, so for example, these Llama models, Meta models, these are open source. So free means open source models. So we'll request for Meta models, that is the Llama models. We'll request for Mistral models, okay? And will not request for Cohere models because Cohere, none of these models are available for free. Okay, so you can see there are a couple of models, embedding models are there, multilingual models are there, but then Cohere is not an open source company. Okay, they have a paid plan. So unless and until I have, given my consent to use Cohere models for paid access, it will not give me the Cohere model access. Okay, so there is a separate route to access for that. So we'll not be wasting time in requesting Cohere models, neither the Anthropic models, because none of these Anthropic models are open source. Okay, so all the Claude models are there. You can see Sonnet, Haiku, Opus, and so on. So none of them are open source. We'll not waste time in requesting them. So we can request the Amazon models, the Titan models, which are native. So whatever the API cost, Amazon will bill anyway. And that's it. So we'll also not waste our time with AI 21 models. Okay. So next, what we are going to do is, okay, on the top, you can see the modify model access. I'll click on that modify model access. Okay. And I would select this, select this, and select this. Only these three. So you can try the Mistral models, Llama models, and the Amazon models. These three. So let's select whatever access we get, we will use it. Okay. Click next. And we are requesting access. So click submit. Let's see what happens. So some of the model access you will be given instantly depending on what is your account usage and whether you are using your personal account or company account depends. A lot of variables are there. So if you get access to even one or two more models, that's fantastic. Otherwise, at least Titan models will be immediately granted access. Okay, so don't worry. We'll still be able to do the hands-on part because you can see Titan models are all native to Amazon. So they will be granted access immediately. You can see the meta models and Mistral models. I have access to all these models. So that's the first step. You need to have model access, okay? So that we can do some hands-on. Now, where do we do that? Hands-on is the next step, okay? So let me check, are there anyone who were able to get to this step? So there is a question in the QA. Amazon Bedrock is a single interface through which we can access multiple models of different vendors. Correct, correct. That's what I defined. It's more like a marketplace. Okay, so you can access these models via front end and back end both. So when I say back end, it's via API call. But first, you need to request for a model access. So there is one notebook that I have shared in the Git. Okay, which we will use to access these models and do some tasks, of course. So these models have extra cost. Which models? The ones which I have not requested. Only the free and open source model access I have requested. So don't worry. Okay. Perfect. So once that is done, now let's directly go to, you can go to the Bedrock playground. We can try one or two simple examples over there. So on your left, you can see the playgrounds. Okay. So here, if you see, there is a marketplace deployment, model catalog, imported models, prompt routers. So these are a pretty advanced stuff. In 1 hour session, I cannot cover everything. But most important thing is you can see we have agent flows and prompt management, guardrail setup, and so on. But we'll focus for these two things only. One is chat text and image video. So let's click on the playground chat text. Okay. So once I click on that, I get a studio similar to OpenAI. Okay, so that is currently in the chat mode. Can you see this is in the chat mode? And you can go from single prompt mode to multi-prompt mode. Okay, first I need to select some model here. Now, I requested some models, if you remember. I did not request AI 21 models. So I can select any of these models because now I have access to any of them or all of them. Okay. Anthropic models, I don't have access. So they are all grayed out. You can see Mistral models I have access to. So you can select any one of them. And meta models or Llama models I also have access to. You can see. Okay, so maybe if you want, we can start with 3.370B instruct. Okay, and then you can have inference profile. So that is anyway the default. So yeah, I'll click on apply. So once again, I clicked on the chat mode, select model, go to meta, scroll to bottom, access your Llama 3.370B instruct V1 model, which has a token size of 128,000, and click apply. And then you have the usual system prompt, everything as in OpenAI. Okay, system prompt, and then temperature you can set. If you want more deterministic answers, set it to close to 0. If you want more creative answers, I mean, set it closer to 1, 2, whatever that number. Then top P sampling. And then what is the response length? That also you can control. Okay. Fine. And now you are ready to ask some questions. Okay. So, okay. So what question? Give me the list of North eastern states of India. Let's see what we get. And you know the reason why I'm doing this. Okay. Your DeepSeek budgets to, give a response, being heavily censored, but at least now we have a model which replies uncensored. Okay. So, and then you can just use it in a chat mode. Okay. You can copy, paste, do all sort of prompt engineering, ask it to summarize, question answering, zero shot, few shot, everything. That same, this is your chat GPT interface. Okay. So I'll just wait for a minute for you to reach this point and try out a couple of prompts, but this is very much it. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions or challenges accessing this. So you can see on the right side, the input tokens is 48, the output tokens is 83, and the total latency is 1029. Okay. So number of input tokens, number of output tokens. Okay. So you might wonder that this cannot be 47, right? Because the thing is, along with your input, there is a system prompt which goes alongside. Okay. That is why this is 47. So there is a default system prompt that instructs that model to give a answer. Okay. Yeah. So you can just try out anything. Okay. So just type good to go. So you can keep, asking the questions. I'm looking at the chat window here. So if you have questions, let me know. If you want to make your own UI instead of this, we can, yeah, so you can create a Streamlit UI. So we have probably covered these topics in previous data hours. So you can create a Streamlit UI. These are very easily, you can get the codes very easily. So numerous GitHubs will help you to get these codes. So just, or even you can ask ChatGPT to generate a Streamlit code, okay, for you. So nothing, exotic in this. How do we integrate that? So it's all about how you are accessing the model, and that model access via Python code is what we will see next. Okay. So so there are two aspects. One is the front end, which will be a Streamlit UI, and the back end will be your model access. So we'll see that. Just wait. Okay. So I'll go from chat mode to, let's say, this side, image and video. Okay. So because of the shortage time, I'll not spend too much time in all this. Just a minute. Okay, so in the video image playground, again, I have to select a model. So in this case, I have only very few models to play with, you can see. So maybe I'll take something which is Titan image generator. So it is the same model which also will be using in the code. So I've just taken some Titan model. And again, what image size you want, how many images you want. So those things you can give. Okay. So generate image of, let's say, old Delhi city in 1900s. And then I'll add photorealistic, high resolution. Some of these keywords, maybe that can help. Okay. Okay. So let's see what we get. Okay. Now these are, okay. Generate image of, mm, donkey riding a horse with wearing an astronaut suit on moon. Okay, let's see what it does this time. So if you have enterprise AWS account, does this imply that proprietary data can be uploaded and used? Yes. So, but again, I would not recommend you to do this way. This is mostly for experimentation. Okay. But of course, if you are working with enterprise data, you'll have to set up the domains, you'll have to set up a VPC so that all your data is within that. Okay. So, I mean, you'll have to get in touch with your, security ops team who will help you to safeguard the company data. But this is not a right way of, securing your data on AWS. This is just good for learning and experimentation, frankly. Okay. Why was Old Delhi blocked? I don't know. So yeah, you can see. I wanted a donkey riding a horse, but then I don't see this guy looking like a donkey. It thought probably a guy riding a donkey. But yeah, at least I have got something and pretty good photorealistic. You can see, you can click on any of these image, okay, and see, pretty good, okay, and you can download that as well, okay. Cool. So let's go ahead from here. So this is all about Bedrock, where you can easily access these models quickly and try it out. Okay. So now the next thing that we are going to check out is SageMaker. So I'll search for SageMaker. Okay, so if you are coming to this SageMaker for the first time, you might be given this kind of a window. Let me just slightly zoom out. Yeah. Okay, so you will be asked to create a SageMaker domain and something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on the domains. If there are any domains, it will be listed. Okay, on the left side, there are domains. If there are domains, it will be listed. If there are no domains in your account within that region, okay, so make sure again you are using a specific region. So the listing of the domains is with respect to, or uh, each domain has its own listing. Okay, so each region has its own listing of the domains. Sorry, yeah. So if there are some domains set up in a different region, they will not show up here. You will have to switch the regions to be able to view those domains. So anyway, let me just quickly create a domain. This is all. Now from the moment you start creating a domain, it starts getting built. Okay, let me warn you. Although the charges are going to be very, very small in 1 hour session, that will be hardly $0.1, but there will be a charge. Okay. So max to max, $1 at max. So let me give you that idea. So SageMaker domains, fine. Okay, so leave everything as default. I'll click on the quick setup. Now, quick setup will create not only the domain, but also create a VPC. Okay, there are no VPCs set up. Okay, let me see if I have a VPC. No. So let's select a VPC. Now these VPCs are specific to your, no, this is not one. I have to select East. Or let's say we create one. That's also fine. We can create one. Okay. So you can provide some name here. Okay. Custom domain, AWS session. So this will help you to track. Okay. And then just go with all the details. If you are already aware of these things, you can just go ahead and click on OK, OK, and that will help you to create a domain very easily. Yeah. And then below you can see Bedrock model access. So in my case, it shows 26 approved models are there. So yeah. So let me know once it is done. Okay. So I'm just clicking on the create domain. So here I created a VPC and then I am clicking on the domain. So once you create the domain, it will take another couple of minutes. And from there, we will launch a notebook where we'll import the codes in the GitHub. So we'll do a just git clone. We don't have to, copy paste the codes. We'll do a git clone. So let me see, there are questions. In the meantime, this is being done. Okay, so there is one question. If you have enterprise AWS account, does this imply that I've already answered? Okay, you can open it in the Unified Studio, or so they have been changing the interfaces quite, extensively. But yeah, so this is another interface you will get to see. GenAI development, Model AI, GenAI development, Generative AI playground, and a number of things. Okay, so we'll go back to this. Okay, we have the domain set up now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, just click on the domains once again, and I am in this page once. Okay, once I'm in the page, I can see my domain is available. You have to make sure that your domain is available. I'm not going to click on the Unified Studio part. Okay, so click on this. Okay, click on this, or maybe click on this. So you have all the domain details. Okay, everything. So now what I'm going to do is click on SageMaker Studio. Okay, so SageMaker and or simply SageMaker. That is also fine. Yeah. So just type SageMaker and you'll get to this page. Okay. So now we have already created a domain, so we can go with the existing domains either. So you'll come back to the same page or you can create a new one. So once you click on this, okay. So you have the domain details and everything. So what it has actually done is it has enabled the SageMaker access in your account. That is what it has done. And the next step that we are going to do is launch Jupyter Lab from here. Okay. So maybe I'll wait a minute for everyone to catch up until this. So you can see the URL is also there for the Unified Studio. So you can open that. Okay, so this is the link for your Unified Studio. I am clicking on that. And the next thing that I'm going to do is create a notebook. So train model with Jumpstart. So this will create, let's create some project. Okay. So some name I am giving here. Okay, it doesn't matter. And it will create some profile out of it. Okay, so you can select all defaults, doesn't matter. And then click on continue. Okay, some volume, go with the defaults, everything. Okay, and then finally continue. You can do customizations, but you have to know what you are doing. So it's going to create a project. Or you can also directly switch to Jupyter Lab. That's also one thing. I mean, if you want to create your models and those things, this is one good way. Other option is to directly jump to Jupyter Lab. So this is also, but in any case, there also you will need to create a project. So let's wait for this project to get created, because once the project is there in place, we'll be able to launch our Jupyter notebook. Okay. So let's see. Will take a few minutes. In fact, this takes some time. So, okay, in the meantime, if you have access to your root account, okay, or at least admin, what we can also do is go to right side and go to security credentials. Okay, on your profile page, go to security credentials, and then you will also need to create your AWS user keys. Okay, so right now I don't have any keys. So first I will create a key in the meantime, and I'll keep this key ready because I'll be needing this key in the hands-on, some of the hands-on. Okay. So, okay, you can click on application running on AWS compute, or maybe you can just click on other, doesn't matter. Okay. So just click on this other and click next. Okay. And yeah, AWS uh, GenAI. So some name so that you can track your key and create your access key. So once you hit this button, it will create some access key and so on. So I mean, you'll have to copy this. Anyway, I'm going to delete this key immediately after the session, but I'll just pause my screen so that I can copy and keep it ready somewhere. Okay. So maybe I can open a notepad or something, or even you can download this as a CSV file. Okay. So I'll need that access key. And just download that as a CSV file if you want to keep it permanently, and click done. So once it is there, you can see I have this access key set up. Okay, so this is my access key, although the token is not revealed, but yeah, I do have this access key. Now let's go back. It is still creating. Okay, still creating a project. So unless this is there, uh, okay. Let me see if there are questions. So QA section. Okay, yeah, I'll just check that. Done. There are. Vignesh is asking, can you repeat the concept of domain? Domain is like you are setting up a environment for you to use the, you know, generative AI services and computing services, you can say, which are managed services. So what do you mean by managed services? There is a compute instance available to you as EC2. Okay, you can launch your own EC2 machine and then install all the packages, install all the IDs or everything. So that's like a bare metal working, and then you can start working on it. That's one way, but that's not very much advisable, not at the developer level. That's more like a administrator and people who are coming from the DevOps side. They would directly spin up the machine and start installing everything and configuring these things. And that's one way of working. The other way is you want a machine, you want a setup where everything is pre-installed for you. You just have to start coding. That's it. So that's a managed service. So you are first creating some sort of a managed service by using this domain. Okay. And this SageMaker is paid. So I have been warning this. So make sure that whatever domain you have created, whatever project you have created, make sure you delete them. All these resources need to be deleted before you end the session. Okay. So I'll help you to even do that. So don't worry. Okay. So my project is now created, you can see. And there is one Jupyter notebook which has already been given. Getting started notebook. I can click on this and get started. You can see on the left side, it's very much similar to your Jupyter lab. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just close this chat. Yeah, perfect. So I have very much environment ready. So that's what I said, a managed service which will give you a machine which is friendly for any developer. What kind of developer? Machine learning engineer, AI engineer. Most of their experimentation codes are done on Jupyter notebooks. I hope you agree. Okay. And then the production level codes will go in the Python, py files, but all the experimentation, the development part mostly happens in the Jupyter notebooks. So you need to have the Jupyter notebooks ready, up and running within few minutes. That's what we did here right now. Okay, so I'll take Jupyter notebook here, and you can just check. Okay, by running print hello. So if this is running, yeah, perfect. So again, I'll close this. This is not going to be much useful for me. So rather than that, I'll open a console. So either you can do it in console or you can do it in the Jupyter notebook. Either way is fine. Okay. So let the console open. I think console is already there. So let's check. No, we will take a simpler console, and that is terminal. So we'll take the terminal. Okay. Can you see there is a terminal? So we'll go with the terminal, which is much simpler. Okay, fine. So here now, let me navigate to my GitHub page. I'm going to pull all the codes from there. So here, if you see, there is a link. Okay, I'll just copy that link. Okay, and right now I'm sharing it in the chat for people who just joined a bit late. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is do a git clone, and that. So that will pull all the Jupyter notebooks from that GitHub here. So might take a couple of minutes at max. So can we integrate databases? Yes, everything can be integrated for now. Typically, your databases can be third party or it can be the databases present within the AWS. So both are possible. Okay. So if someone is accessing and storing, yes, everything is possible. So the thing is, we cannot discuss too many things in a short duration here. But yeah, in principle, everything is possible. Is it taking some time? So I've taken a very small machine here, which is typically ML.T3. This is taking time. Maybe we can actually do a git clone within the Jupyter itself. Let's try out here. Git clone. And ideally that should have worked. Yeah, this worked. I don't know what happened. So let me close that terminal. This says cloning, and you can see that entire thing is already here instantly. Okay, so double click on that. So once you navigate, so your notebook should be there. Okay. Still taking time this way or that way. I don't know. This is there any way we can integrate local database with Jupyter in AWS? Local database. Why do you want to integrate a local database with Jupyter in AWS? I mean, the database has to be there on cloud only or third-party platforms. If you have the database in local machine, ideally that entire thing should be done in local machine. Okay. Uh, Instance memory is 50% full. It's a CPU machine with a very small thing. It's taking some time. Okay. Okay, let me try this way. Sometimes this gives a challenge. So let me stop the kernel. Okay. Let's stop the kernel, and there is a git clone repo. So I'm just going to give the git URL there. And let's see from clone. The files are not coming. So no problem. We'll do it externally because we have very less amount of time. It's almost time up, but we want to do some of the hands-on. So I hope you can wait for another 10 minutes. We can actually take some of the codes I wanted to discuss. So this is how you actually set up your entire AWS account for generative AI services. Now, most of the services are accessed via the front end, which I'll show you quickly. Okay. And via the codes that also you can do very quickly. Okay. So we already have the AWS root keys, access keys, sorry, setup, which we'll be using anyway. So let's do one thing. I am going to stop this. Okay. And make sure that we okay, we'll come back to this. Maybe if this works, fine. If this doesn't work, still fine. Okay. I don't know what is happening. Why is this not working? But let me open the same codes locally on a different machine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, okay. Fine. So I have opened my local Jupyter notebook. Okay. And if you want, we can do a git clone here itself once again. Right? Git clone. Because that should not be a problem. So I have got my repo here. Cool. Double click and we have the Bedrock Essentials. Now, only thing is, this code will run because you need to do some installations. So this code will run, no doubt, on the local machine, the installation part. But some of the things like this foundation model listing and all, now this will not happen because the code is not running on SageMaker. So the main reason I wanted my Jupyter notebook to be present there, or let's try to do one thing. Can we manually upload? Let me try manually uploading because at least I want to run the bedrock code there. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so what I'm going to do is manually upload that notebook, this first one at least. The other ones will work, I am sure, 100% elsewhere. But this first one, which is the Bedrock Essentials, will not work outside of your SageMaker domain. Okay, so that needs to be run. So if there are challenges to access the Git clone is not working, I don't know for what reason. Let me just manually upload this. Okay, so I have a copy, a local copy. I'll just manually upload that and run that because it needs my account permissions. Okay, so I have, okay, that's uploading now. Okay, I think that is being uploaded. You can see on the bottom left. Okay, so that is there already. It's a very small instance, which we got by default. So might be a bit slow, but let's see if this works. Okay. So let me do a quick installation of the packages. So what we are going to do is I'm going to access some of the models we gained access in the Bedrock and do some of the uh, generative AI stuff over here. But again, it will be completely be limited to the computing power of this machine. Okay. So when I say limited, fast, slow, and the memory part. Okay. So this is being installed. Okay, I don't know why it is taking again some time over here, but yeah, in the meantime, we can go ahead and see. So now if I run this code, very likely you will get an error here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, because Boto3, yeah, Boto3, it says not defined, but then yeah, the same thing. So this is the error you are likely to get if you are running these codes out of SageMaker. Now this error will not come if you are running this code within the SageMaker. That was the value proposition. That's okay. But let me go through this. So if you see what I've listed here is all the foundation models that is accessible in your account. Okay, that we gained access to. You can see the request ID is there, and then this model is alive or not. Some whether it is a multimodal model or it's a text-only model, what kind of model it is. You can see the API endpoint of that model. So these are all the model names, okay, whether they are active, status, and then whether that is a on-demand, if it's an embedding model or, text generation model or an image generation model, what kind of model. So that is the output modalities there. Input modalities means what kind of input it takes as a text prompt. Okay, so those are input modalities if you see. So all these models that we have access to is mentioned out here. Okay, so is this running still? taking a lot of time, but that's okay. I'll just go ahead and explain you this. Okay. Now I've created a simple function which will take the prompt and the model ID. So what is the model ID? If you see, again, as I mentioned, these are my model IDs. Okay. The model ID, this is your model ID. So this function will take a prompt and the model ID and do a prompting on that. Okay. Simple. It is as simple as that. And then I can also limit the token count and the temperature. Okay. So once you execute this function, here I have provided one model ID and the prompt. So it gives me a detailed analysis of pros and cons of commercial real estate with examples. And here I got the response actually. So total text input is 20, and then total token count is 367, in which the input token count is included. So the output token count is only 347. Okay. So this is the result that we got. And then I'm just formatting that result in a proper format. So you can see commercial real estate investing, and then pros, cons, and everything is there. You see, you can experiment with different model IDs. So these all codes are very much working, trust me. I don't know what, again, why is this giving a problem today? Okay, but yeah. So you can also prompt as a Titan text LLMs with streaming output. Now, what do you mean by streaming output? Here, the entire output will come at once. If you want the output to come token wise or bunch of token wise, okay. So this is a custom function. And the main thing here is you are accessing the or invoking the model in the streaming format, and from that stream, you are retrieving the chunks using this for loop and then printing those chunks, okay, group of chunks using this. So that is what is happening. So the same prompt with a different model ID this time. More or less the output is same, but it will come in a streaming format just like your ChatGPT thing. Okay, so this is the overall response. You can see the embedding models are also there. So another custom function that I've written to generate embeddings. So here also there are a bunch of sentences you can see and which model I want to use for embedding. Okay. So Cohere models I mentioned some time back, they are paid models. However, these Titan models are available to you, although not free, but you can directly use them without requesting access explicitly. You have already done that, and that was very easy. So the length of the embedding is 1536, very much similar to your ChatGPT. They are also 1536. So the embeddings are very much similar. And you can also calculate the cosine similarity between the documents. So this is a simple code. So if you are aware of the generative AI stuff, all these codes must make sense to you. Okay. And then again, multimodal capabilities are there in some of these models. So here are the codes. So I am just downloading a couple of images there. So this is a cat image that I downloaded and then just printing those image here. So here are a couple of descriptions that I have given for the images. Now, what I'm going to do is do I'm going to bind these descriptions with these images by using the embeddings. So I'll do the embeddings of these descriptions and then do the embeddings of the images and try to see the cosine similarity between the embeddings and the images that way. Okay. So that is what this function is all about. So this is going to generate the text embeddings of the descriptions. Okay. So you can specify the embedding length based on your model. Okay. So, and then I'm going to compare the embeddings of the descriptions with the embeddings of the images. Okay. And find the cosine similarity. And you can see that 49% is the similarity between the description of the first with itself, sorry, with the other one, and with itself it's equal to 1. So there is a roughly 50% similarity between these two documents. So there are two documents, so 2 cross 2 matrix. That's pretty simple. Now this is the code or function to generate the embeddings for the images. Okay. So same thing again. All you have to do is just change the model ID. Okay, whatever that bedrock model ID, you have to provide that bedrock model ID here. Okay, and that's it. That is the only input that you have to change here. What model ID you want to use to generate the image embeddings. So here I have generated the image embeddings. Okay, and this is the cosine similarity of the image embeddings with respect to each other. So one means cat image with respect to cat image. This is the cat image with respect to the dog image. So the similarity between these two images mutually is 61%. Now this is multimodal, okay? So you can use the Titan multimodal embeddings to generate embeddings, combined text and image, okay, this time. So here I have the two images and the two descriptions. And based on that, I'm going to calculate the cosine similarities, okay? So generate multimodal embeddings. And this is what I have again. So here is the embedding or the cosine similarities of the descriptions with the corresponding images. So all these things you can do. Now you can also do a image generation. So in this case, I have said, okay, there is a prompt over there which will ask it to generate the image. How many number of images? I want one image. What should be the resolution of that image and other things. Now the prompt that I'm giving is I want to have image of two dogs running on a beach. So that is the prompt. This is the model ID that you are accessing from Bedrock. Okay. And then I got the response. So generate image will give you the response as IMG. And you can see there's a byte file. So I have to convert those bytes into a image data. That's what this function does. And once it has been converted into actual image, I can display that. So very fantastic response I have got here. So two dogs running on the beach. Okay. And I can even save that. You can see I can even save that. You can do in painting as well. So in painting means kind of doing a style transfer. Okay. So this is an in painting job. I would say this is an in painting job. How many images you want to generate? What should be the resolution? Again, the same thing. And there will be an instruction prompt that will be provided by the user. And negative text means the qualities in the generated image which should not be present. Okay. So I don't want the images of bad quality and low resolution. So rest all things are same exactly as above. If you see the instruction prompt is add two tigers on the beach. So I'm going to give this image as the input. And on that image, I'm asking uh, the model to add two tigers. Okay. So that's how it comes up. So it replaces the two dogs with two tigers then in that case. Okay. So this is the output that I have got. And then you can also save it. Fine. Now, this is another case of generating a different variation of the image. You can see. So here, again, it will take a prompt, instruction prompt. And again, I'm asking the model to avoid generating bad quality outputs, low resolution and cartoon kind of things to be avoided. This code is exactly the same once again. And here I'm giving that dog's image as the input. And then instruction prompt is improve the resolution of the tigers and the waves on the beach. I want the net image to be more photorealistic in 8K HDR. So these are, specific keywords. People who work with a lot of image generation models, they know these specific keywords, in fact. Okay. So I've already given a link to the prompt engineering guide for image generation models. You can follow that. Okay. So now you can see the quality of the image which has got generated. Okay, that's extremely high, extremely high. Okay. And then you can access the Mistral AI models and all that. So most of it is all the same, you can see. What I have done here is in the case of Mistral models, the model ID will be different. And then again, there is one more issue that each of these models have their different ways of prompting. The prompt template changes. This is the trickiest part. Okay. So all the prompt templates above were specific to the Amazon Bedrock models, the Titan models, basically all the variation of the Titan models. But now if you want to use it for some other vendor, let's say the Mistral model or the Llama models. So Mistral models has their own prompt templates. Llama models have their own prompt templates, or even the DeepSeek model has its own prompt template. Okay, that's the problem. So that is the reason you can see some additional codes. You can see the instruction prompt. So this is some additional tags here. So prompt has to be enclosed within the additional tag. So this is the start of the instruction and this is the ending of the instruction tag. So rest all this part of the code is same, and you can specify how many maximum tokens and temperature. So here I have given the model ID from the Bedrock. This is the prompt, explain mortgage in detail with pros and cons, and this is the output that I'm getting. I'm just displaying that prompt in prettified format. Okay. So all these codes will work definitely, but again from SageMaker, somehow this SageMaker didn't work for me today, unfortunately, or did it work? There was error. Okay, seems there was an error. So let me try importing Moto3. Worked strangely. Okay, so it is trying to fetch the list of the Bedrock models. So if this works, then everything else will work. So be assured. Okay, if you are able to fetch the list of foundation models, this typically takes time, but if you're able to run until this point, it should work, everything. Okay. Okay, so again, I have given a lot of other notebooks for you to. So that is a transcription service. Okay. Internet is unstable. Okay.
Hey Prashant, I think we are way beyond our timeline, so can we just take up some questions?
Hello. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Yeah, yeah.
audible. So
Okay, okay.
let's take some of the questions that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have over
So
there.
there are some questions, maybe. Yeah, but before the questions, what I was saying, let me just quickly wind up there. So you can see that these are some cognitive services. I will not get into all the details, but I have already given you the notebooks. I would encourage you to explore these. Okay, I've given you all the codes. Maybe sometimes if you are really interested, we can take up all the codes, but you'll have to replace your access keys here. That's where, and the region name should be your uh, whatever the region name you want to use. So east 1, east 2, US west 1, west 2. So some region name, or if you want to change that, fine. If you want to keep it, that's also fine. But these two things will have to be changed because I just mentioned that you have to provide your own access keys and so on. So only then these codes will work. Okay. So in this, what we have done is you can clearly see the use cases. So this is the front end. From front end also you can access these services, or from the back end, which is this. Okay. So in the back end, you can see the typical use cases is automatic speech recognition. Okay. So you can upload audio file and that audio file will be transcribed. So basically it's a speech to text. So speech recognition service. So, and then you have the use cases. Okay. So that is one. There is another service called as translate. So translate is translating from one language to the other. So you can access the translate from the front end here. So you can, it's very similar to your Google Translate. You give some piece of text here that will be translated into English. So you can select the two languages, which language text you want to translate to another language. So this is the front end where you can translate one text into another, and the backend code here. So you can translate text from one language to other and so on. It supports batch translation also. So you can just run the codes again here. You will have to provide your own Boto3 codes, sorry, API access key codes. And then you just have to initialize the model, create the client, and then start using it. So in this demonstration, I have done English to German, you can see. Also, I have done English to Hindi, you can see. English to German and English to Hindi. So that's there. Third service is Poly. So Poly is where you can actually create audio files from the script that you give. Okay, you can create audio files, MP3 files. So that's the Poly service. Again, Poly service is not free. Okay, so if you are in the free tier, you may not be able to access it. So Poly is also paid. Uh, I think I may not have access to Poly. If yeah, so I do have. Okay, so similarly, this you can see it's a text to speech conversion. So again, you will have to provide your access keys and all that. And whatever is the text, that text will be converted into speech and that you can save it. Okay, and then later on you can play that file. Okay, so that's how I have generated some of the MP3 files in the output if you see. So those were all generated by this code only. Okay, and what are the supported languages? You can see these are all the supported languages. Okay, these are all the supported languages. Okay. So you can see 1 hour is not very sufficient, but I'm just trying to cover as much as possible. Comprehend is basically, again, you can use sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, named entity recognition, language detection. So all of this comprehension, NLP stuff, natural language processing, NLU, natural language understanding. So NLP and NLU is what is comprehend all about. Okay. So again, you have a front end for the comprehend. You can just check the comprehend UI. So there again, you will provide a piece of text and what task you want to perform there. Okay, what task you want to do. You want to generate insights, you want to summarize, you want to do question answering on that, you want to extract that some part of text, or you want to extract the named entities, everything. So I've given a lot of use cases in this. Again, as usual, you will have to provide your own access keys. These are not working, don't worry. And yeah, so this is the text you can see, and then I've been able to get the sentiment, and then I can extract the key entities from there, and the named entities are being detected from a piece of text. AWS is headquartered in Seattle. It is able to tell me that it's the name of organization. Seattle is the name of the location, and so on. And then detecting the syntax and a lot of things. Finally, we have the recognition, which is an image analysis model. Okay, so it can detect objects within the image and even do a labeling on it. Okay, it can detect faces, it can compare faces. So here, it's a very interesting use case I have given here. So I have given one image of Elon Musk, and I asked it to label the objects in that image. So it is able to identify that I have a head, person, face, happy, laughing. So you can see some of these labels I've got as face, happy, laughing, which you can see very well there. Okay. Now, interesting thing is facial analysis. Okay. So it is able to tell me the emotions which have been detected, the age group of that male, female, and the children, and so on. You can see there are children there, 4 to 8 years. They're calm, sad, whatever you can see. You can even compare faces from two images. So I've got image one, image two, and then I can even compare. So this image was generated by me. Okay. And this was the actual image. And I wanted to see how much is the similarity score between these two images, right? So I got the output there as they are matching 96, roughly 97%. So that is the kind of intelligence built in. Okay. So this was the image and this was the target. I wanted to match how much similar they are. And then you can also extract, key information from the images. Like this is more like a OCR engine. So this is a driver license, and I was able to extract all this information using the cognitive services. No model training needed, nothing. You are just accessing the models within AWS. Okay, and that is what these cognitive services mean. So you can actually build the entire POC for any idea that you have in mind without actually building any of the models out of the box, right? So many things can be done. That was my intention to, brief you that so many things can be done even without training a model out of the box, right? So yeah, you have all the codes. I would encourage you to, play with these and let me know if you have any questions. And before that, let's shut down the services and don't forget to, shut down these services. Otherwise, that will be a big problem. Okay. So let's go to, I'll just take 2 more minutes just to tell you how to shut down these services. Okay. So let's go to SageMaker again. So okay. So we already had this view existing domains. Click on this. Okay. Sometimes if there is something running, it might want you to shut down that, but let's try. Okay. So let me just copy and paste. It might work, may not work. Sometimes I have seen that if there are some notebooks running within that domain, it doesn't work. Okay. But fortunately, it worked right now. Okay. So that means my domain is deleted. So my billing will be stopped from there. And this notebook project. Okay. Let me. Okay. So if I refresh this should not be accessible. Perfect. Okay. So if this is not accessible means we are, I think, good to go. Okay. So let's verify once again from here. You can just check. So no domains are listed. Otherwise, it would have given me. Or go to the left side and check for associated domains. Make sure that you are looking at the same, regions where you had launched that. Okay. So definitely it's not there. And while creating, you might have created a VPC also. You might want to delete that VPC as well. Okay. So this was the VPC which was created. Okay. While launching the SageMaker domain. So you'll have to, delete these VPCs as well manually. Okay. Just select one by one and delete them. Okay. You have the delete option on the top right. Okay. So this was the VPC which I just now created. Okay. Typically VPCs are also built a very, very small amount, but they should be cleared. Okay, so make sure that you are deleting all the VPCs when not in use. Okay, so that is one thing you have to make sure. So let's delete this. Delete initiated. Okay, perfect. So it is going to delete everything. So this was the VPC which we created to launch the SageMaker domain. So VPC is done, domain is done, and we just have to make sure that uh, yeah, I think we had not used any other service. I'm just making sure on that. Yeah, I think we are good to go. So I'll just stop my screen share. Okay, I'll just stop my screen share and make sure that you come back to your, come back to your this page tomorrow and see if there is any service which is currently running. So I'll just show you if how to identify if there is any service. So maybe after a couple of hours, go to billing and cost management. Go to billing and cost management. Not now, maybe a couple of hours later. So this typically refreshes every 5 to 6 hours. So wait for 5 to 6 hours. If there is something which is still being built, you should be knowing that. Okay. So, and from there, you can go to Cost Explorer here. Go to Cost Explorer. So what is being built, you should be knowing. And I will go to on the right side. Okay. Past 7 days or one day, whatever the date range you want to choose, you can go ahead and do that. Apply. And you can also see the granularity on a daily basis. So this is the kind of billing that I'm having every day in my account. And if you want, you can see the services also which are being built. So here I'm using a lot of other services in my account, but we have used SageMaker and SageMaker domains and anything associated with SageMaker, Bedrock, and some of these services. If you are also going to use some of these like transcribe, poly, comprehend, then those will also appear here. So don't be surprised. So each and every service that you have used should be mentioned out there. Okay. So if you think that something is being built, you can go to a granularity of hours also. So you can see hourly billing. So after 5 to 6 hours, just come back and see what is all running. You can see on an hourly basis. This is the bill on the hourly basis. If you see that something is being billed continuously on hourly basis, then you can go back and check what all services are still there, and manually you can go to that particular service and delete them. So make sure you have selected the date range as last 1 to 2 days, and go to the hourly granularity, and make sure that that is the service that you are actually wanting to use. If there is unwanted services for which you are being billed, this is the central place where you can make sure that don't get billed for anything which you are not using, and you just started that service and forgot to stop it. So everything is there. This is your central source of truth for all the costs being incurred in your account. Okay, so go to Cost Explorer, and this is the place where you are going to explore all the costs. Perfect. Okay, so I have already shared all the notebooks. Maybe sometimes later we can catch up if you provide enough requests. I'll be more than happy to join back for another follow-up session where we actually execute all those notebooks. But if you want, you can actually do it on your own. If you are familiar with AWS ecosystem, that should not be fine. Sorry, that should not be a problem. It should be very fine if you are also quite aware of the, some of the GenAI fundamentals, okay, and Python code, because I have made those notebooks in a very, very self-explanatory manner, everything being heavily documented, okay? And what each service is all about, that is also very clear. The use cases I have given at the top of each of those notebooks. So please make yourself comfortable. I can be reached anytime on LinkedIn. I'll just quickly share my LinkedIn. You can reach out to me. And if you have any questions, you can even ask, you can DM me and ask. That's also perfectly fine. I'll be more than happy to connect with each and every one of you on LinkedIn as well. Okay. So let me just share my LinkedIn ID. And then we can take up some questions before we wind up. Okay. And please make sure that you are removing your access keys. Yes, because now that it has been exposed in this current session, I'm going to do it right away. Okay. So go to security credentials. I'm just deleting it right away. Okay. So don't share your notebooks with your access keys. That's a cardinal sin. Okay. So first you deactivate your key and then you delete your key. Okay. If you want, I can show you that action, but I have just deleted my key right away. So don't ever share your notebooks with anyone without. So see, AWS also has something called a secret manager. That's the best practice. Use environment variables, number one, and number two, use secrets manager, AWS secrets manager. That's the optimal way of actually uh, accessing these OpenAI keys or LangChain keys or Hugging Face keys, Grok keys, AWS keys. There are a number of keys now.